Good morning. It's early days yet, but there could be some good news for us on the corona vaccine front. The results of the Oxford vaccine study were printed in the Lancet yesterday, and from whatever the results are showing us, the first two phases seem to have gone off well. Apart from creating the necessary antibodies, the side effects of the vaccine, the Lancet study tells us, the Lancet report tells us, could easily be treated by medicines such as crocin. So the fever and the body ache and things like that were easily treated. More important, according to the study, the vaccine also created what are called T lymphocytes. So T lymphocytes are what are part of what is called the immune system memory, and essentially what that will do is that will help the body fight off the corona infection for a longer period of time. So those who get the vaccine, if the vaccine is successful, this essentially means that they'll get immunity for a longer period of time. So with this, the Oxford vaccine moves to a stage 3 trial along with other companies such as Sinovac, Moderna and CanSino as well. The bad news on the corona front, of course, is that Bangalore, which had about 1,000 infections about a month ago as compared to Mumbai 65,000 at that time. So the bad news is that Bangalore will, if the infections continue to rise the way they are, in the next 3 weeks, Bangalore will be the second largest infection area in India. So it will overtake Mumbai. And as I said, Mumbai had 65,000 cases at the time when Bangalore had just 1,000 a month ago. So a city which was at one time seen as having done everything right is now suddenly being seen as a city that is doing everything wrong. Now what is worrying is that both then as well as now, there is no clear explanation, no convincing explanation for what actually happened. But more relevant for right now, the city's health infrastructure is completely bursting at the seams, at least the public sector one. So the number of beds left or the ICUs or the ventilators that are still vacant is quite limited. And essentially what's going to happen is that if infection levels rise as we are projecting them to over the next few weeks and beyond, even the private sector health infrastructure in the city may not be enough. So essentially, as has been done in case of Delhi and Mumbai, the authorities in Bangalore need to work very, very quickly on creating additional COVID care, proper hospital facility. Given the way the Supreme Court has examined and ruled on the whole AGR issue so far, few expected Monday's hearing on the AGR dues to be an easy one. As we've said before, the telcos have won significant battles on the AGR front on what revenue was. So the TDSAT, for example, has ruled in favor of the telcos there. So so what that essentially means is when the Supreme Court ruled on what revenue was and what AGR was, and it said, for example, that even the interest on bank deposits has to be included in the definition of revenue. So that was really the first time that there was a definitive ruling or decision on what AGR was. So in fact, our point has been, if the Supreme Court gave the ruling for the first time on what AGR, on what the definition of AGR was, ideally the penalties and the interest rate with the DOT had imposed on the telcos should not have been charged. And if that had been done, that would have brought down the dues of the telcos to about 15 to 20% of the 164,000 crores that the Department of Telecom says that they owe them. But, and there's an added twist here, let's say for the sake of argument that the Supreme Court's definition of AGR is absolutely correct, and more important, the penalties and the interest rate that the DOT levied was also kosher. Even then, the telcos have argued that the DOT hasn't got its maths right. So if you look at, so there are three sets of numbers on your screen right now. There is what the DOT says is owed to it. There is what the telcos estimate they owe the DOT and what the telcos have paid. And essentially, as you can see, the telcos' assessment of what they owe the DOT is between around a third and a fourth of what the DOT has said. What is shocking here is that the Supreme Court is refusing to accept that the telcos can have a view of the dues which is different from that of the DOT. Essentially what the Supreme Court said yesterday was that this was tantamount to it reopening its judgment here. Now, that's completely unfair because, as we said, ideally the Supreme Court, after having laid down the rules on what AGR dues were, it should have left the calculations to a technical body. This is not something which can be ruled on or debated in the Supreme Court. It just inflames passion there. Just to give you an example, whenever the taxman levies a tax, for example, on you and I, You and I are then free to come up with our own estimate of what the tax actually due is. So the taxman says that we owe it 100 bucks, 100 rupees, and we say no, it's actually 50. Then you and I go through the tribunal, go through various processes, and only when a final decision is taken on the calculations is the tax to be paid. So it is quite amazing that the Supreme Court is not allowing the telcos to even have a different interpretation of what the maths is, even if we accept the Supreme Court and the DOT view on what revenue is. Now the problem with this is that if Vodafone Idea shuts down, as it seems likely to, if it, in the way things are going on, Vodafone Idea has spent $51 billion. It has invested $51 billion in the country. So that gives across a very, very bad signal to investors as to what kind of investment environment India has. Secondly, and more important, if Vodafone Idea shuts down, the government and the DOT will be very, very hard placed to get even a fraction of the money that they are owed. Now, this of course is the reason why the Supreme Court has asked for the government to give it the records of companies like Reliance, Videocon that have shut down, and Aircel that have shut down and gone to the bankruptcy courts. So these companies, between the three of them, owe the government about 40,000 crores of the money. But what is not clear is that what exactly is the Supreme Court going to achieve by asking for the records. It is not the Supreme Court's job to actually determine whether a company should have been admitted to the bankruptcy courts or not. Anyway, as our story today points out, it's going to be a tough haul to get for the government to get these dues. Of Aircel's dues of about 12,000 odd crores, for example, much of these dues pertain to its 2G licenses. And what Bharti Airtel did was to buy its 3G license. So, good luck to the government on being able to get that money. In the case of Reliance Jio, Reliance Jio, which bought Arcom, some part of Arcom spectrum, Arcom owes the government 25,000 crores. So it's not clear how much of that our Jio will actually pay. A sad state we've come to, that an industry that was once seen as a poster boy of liberalization, as an industry that was once seen as an example of why people should invest in India, that industry is on its deathbed today, and all thanks to very, very poor government policy and a series of poor, ill thought out court judgments. Thank you. Stay safe.